this land use meeting to order. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge and thank all of the election workers throughout our county for their dedication and work to ensure that our democratic process is done fairly and equitably. I'm grateful that we have outstanding citizens like many of you in our county who are dedicated to ensure that our communities can participate in a democratic process. And so thanks everyone. I know so many people were out yesterday making sure that everything went well. So excited about the results. All right, clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. And before I call the roll, I'd like to note for the record that Vice Chair Lawson Reamer is participating via teleconference, and as such, all votes will be handled by a roll call vote. With that, I will now call the roll. Supervisor Anderson. Here. Supervisor Desmond. Here. Vice Chair Lawson Reamer.
Here.
Chairwoman Vargas.
Here. Now, hear the statement of remote participation for Vice Chair Lawson Reamer.
Thank you. The first item will be for Vice Chair Lawson Reamer to make a statement about participating remotely and state whether anyone over the age of 18 is in the room with them, as well as their relationship to the supervisor. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
No one over 18 is in the room with me, and I'm dealing with a health matter.
All right. We will now hear our closed session after this session, and we will return to non-agenda items.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 14 total requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 2 individuals requesting to speak in person, and 12 requesting to speak by phone. For those that have requested to speak by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using those instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board, and I would like to invite forward the following individuals: Robert Gurman and Guy Falk.
We have a video. Let's see if it works. Robert Gurman, Lakeside. I want to point out she got no relief from the FAA.
Yep, that's him.
The shocking accusation. He
Next meeting, I will explain why this is timely and relevant.
She has been stalked for years by a pilot who keeps buzzing her home with his plane. After 4 years, he's now under arrest.
A single-engine plane buzzes a house. The pilot is an alleged stalker from the air.
Yep, that's him.
And this is the woman he's accused of stalking.
He flew so low, it basically shook my house.
Restaurant owner Cassandra Willis says she's been tormented by the pilot for 4 years.
You would hear it. It sounded like he was coming through the roof. So he typically does 3 to 5 circles directly over my home.
He even allegedly bombed her house with small red objects. He even dropped tomatoes on your house?
He dropped them on my 4Runner, and it was like craters all within our yard.
The pilot, 65-year-old Michael Arnold, claims he was just taking photos from high above to post on social media. But Willis says that's nonsense. She's the target.
I knew that it was specifically targeted at me because at that time, he was already sending me aerial photos of my house, of my property, of my car.
The entire town of Schuylerville, New York is up in arms. The mayor shot this video.
I've gotten text messages and I've gotten calls from residents, and they just feel scared. The mental state of this guy is in question. No one knows whether or not he's going to crash into their home.
Arnold has been charged with aggravated stalking.
Why are you stalking that woman?
I was not stalking her. I was flying over town.
But you know her?
No.
You don't know her?
I don't know her at all. Never had any contact with her.
$10,000 was added to Arnold's bond because he allegedly tried to contact Cassandra on social media.
Thank you. Next speaker. Last call for Guy. Not seeing any movement in the chamber. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, we will be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Consuelo. Conformity is doing what everybody else is doing, regardless of what is right. Morality is doing what is right, regardless of what everybody else is doing. You, to the people listening, you have the power to transmute negative energy into positive energy by simply deciding to change it. Only fear and doubt can stop you from doing it. To the pure hearts, they can't stop you. Whether or not you can see it or feel it, you're being led by a greater force. You are being divinely protected, so relax. No one has the power or ability to stop what the universe has already set in motion for us. Our best life is already locked in. Now is the time to claim that and to start consistently aligning with how it feels. Understand that any roadblocks people, government try to place in your path, your higher self will turn it into hurdles and have you jump with ease. It's time to move forward now with clarity, purpose, and power. We're not intimidating, they're intimidated. There's a difference. We're not mean, not aggressive, we're honest and assertive, and that makes them uncomfortable. And it's not us that makes them uncomfortable, it's our presence that challenges their comfort. I will not be less for them to feel better about themselves. Insecure leaders surround themselves with yes people. Effective leaders surround themselves with people who challenge them. Brothers and sisters, no one is coming to save you. This life is 100% your responsibility. I love you all, even you, Vargas.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller. Our next caller is Paul. You may need to unmute your mic. We'll come back to you.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp. I'm a mother and a public health educator concerned regarding the lack of responsibility and complete neglect the marijuana industry shows our children. Colorful packaging and flavored edibles like candy and cookies are just a few of the industry's obnoxious ways of targeting our kids. Recently, I shared a story of an Escondido third grade student who consumed marijuana-infused gummy bears while at school. An article posted by NBC titled, "Escondido Mother Speaks Out After Her Son Ate THC Gummies and Was Hospitalized" was recently published. Claudia, the mother, describes the incident as a tragedy. She stated, "Seeing my son that way is what shocked me so much. To see his body shaking, not being able to open his eyes, is something I will never forget. It was a cannabis overdose, according to Rady Children's Hospital." Claudia was terrified when she heard from the doctors how much THC her son ate. He had consumed 3 gummies, 400 milligrams of marijuana each, totaling 1,200 milligrams of THC. To give you some perspective on how much THC this is, vape pens and cartridges containing moderate THC levels usually hold between 150 and 200 milligrams of THC. This represents that this young third-grade student consumed an amount of THC similar to smoking 6 entire vape pen cartridges all at once. Claudia stated that after 3 days in the hospital, her son was discharged. He's back at school, but his mother says her son is not the happy boy he was before the incident. He is quiet and nervous. She fears of the long-term consequences. This is unacceptable, and parents need to be better educated and aware of consequences. Although marijuana is permitted in our county, it doesn't mean we have to be tolerant of the industry's disregard for child safety. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Kathleen Lippett. I'd like to share some research out of Canada, Australia, and regarding so-called harm reduction strategies like clean needles and supervised injection rooms, where overdose rates were actually found to be 42 to 102 times higher than on the street because addicts use them for drug experimentation. Underlying these strategies is a fatalistic presumption that drug abuse must be accepted, as we have done with marijuana, the normalization of it. Harm reduction programs do not reduce harm. The lives of users, their families, and their communities have already been harmed. Before industries of addiction were given free rein to influence political electeds and officials, preventing drug abuse was recognized as the humane, compassionate, effective, and economic strategy. Compelling addicts into long-term treatment is the next most compassionate thing we can do. The good news is the greatest potential for success is long-term compelled treatment, even when addicts don't want it, especially marijuana addicts who fail to have the objectivity that other drugs of abuse will offer. Prior to Prop 47, the courts were able to compel drug addicts into treatment. Families should have that option to order compelled treatment for their loved ones. They need a fighting chance to have their loved ones restored to them. What they don't need is for their loved ones to have their addiction enabled until they die. Programs that required offenders to undergo a 2-day evaluation followed by 16 weeks of treatment or face the loss of their license had the lowest rate of recidivism in the U.S. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chair Nora Vargas. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I am a parent and community volunteer in youth programs, especially after-school tutoring and mentoring programs. As Red Ribbon Week comes to a close in our county schools, I want to thank the efforts of parents, PTAs, and PTOs, and school administrators for their efforts to bring tobacco, marijuana, alcohol, and drug prevention awareness to our students. The County Office of Education seeks to expand on these drug prevention efforts by launching a series of videos with such topics as how tobacco, marijuana, and alcohol use affects developing brains. District Attorney Summer Stephan and Dr. Natalie Love, a Rady Children's Hospital pediatrician and UC San Diego assistant professor, both appear on the videos. A central point from the presenters is that primary prevention education is the answer. I respectfully add my voice as a parent of 3 adult sons that primary prevention is the answer. As Dr. Loeb said at the press conference introducing the video series, and I quote, "The cannabis industry is targeting children and leaving teens thinking it is safe. However, cannabis use really dramatically and adversely affects the teenage brain and damages parts responsible for memory and decision making," end quote. And that environment and the environment we create for our children must not normalize drug use, especially marijuana, as a solution to any of life's challenges and anxieties through storefronts and billboards. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Nancy Logan, and I'm a community volunteer. I coordinate a program at San Diego County High Schools called Start Smart, where teens and their parents attend a required evening presentation which emphasizes the problems that come with distracted, drunk, and drug-impaired driving. Start Smart program coordinators are pleased that the county's district attorney's office has received an $810,000 grant from the California OTS to support DUI-related prosecutions and investigations. According to the DA's office, more than half of the people getting arrested in San Diego County have both drugs and alcohol in their systems. And the county's district attorney's office caseload of combined drug and alcohol impairment cases is increasing. The drug most combined with alcohol in these cases is marijuana. Intoxicating cannabis products have been proven to slow reaction time, impact memory, and impair skills essential to driving, creating enormous challenges for other drivers on the road. Driving under the influence of marijuana is a danger to all of us here in San Diego's unincorporated areas. Let's support our county's district attorney office and put the county's unfortunate idea to add more marijuana business to our backcountry on the back burner. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the remaining callers that requested to speak on a matter not listed on the agenda, if you can please hang up and call back at the conclusion of the session. Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. And again, all remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, statements, and proceedings for the regular meeting of October 25th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We need to take roll.
And we'll be doing a roll call vote. Supervisor Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Yes.
Vice Chair Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
And Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with information of our consent calendars. Items 1 and 2. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after the supervisors pull the items they would like to pull for discussion. Would any of my colleagues like to pull any items for discussion? Supervisor Anderson? All right. Like to make a motion, sir? All right. Supervisor Desmond?
Just a quick comment on item 1. I know it took a lot of work to get here, and I'm grateful for everyone to make this happen. This is the Butterfield Trails Ranch property acquisition in Valley Center for a potential park. It's right near where all the homes are going in, and it'd be a great place for a senior intergenerational center. I'd like to quickly thank some of those who, in no particular order, Brian Albright and his team at Parks, Dee and the members of the Valley Center Planning Group, Chairman Bo Mazzetti with the Rincon Tribe, the owners, Wayne and his son Nathan Helbig, Joaquin Aganza, and the Friends of Hellhole Canyon, and many of the residents who wrote into my office. And I know there's a lot more, but today's action goes to show that where there's a will, there's a way. This community came alive and loud and clear, and they wanted this new park. And so I appreciate my colleagues supporting this item. This is just the land, and we'll have to, build out the park eventually, but this is a good first step. So thank you very much for all the hard work on this one. And I'll second the motion for the consent calendar.
All right. Thank you. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to comment also on item 1 about Butterfield's Ranch. It's exciting. It's great. I think we need more land for trails and open space and protecting our biodiversity and places to hike. This is going to be a good addition to North County. And I've been to most of our parks. I think I have hiked in almost all of them. Very happy. Butterfield Trails Ranch sounds like a better name than Hellhole Canyon. So thank you for staff also on that.
All right. I don't have any items to pull, and so we're going to turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 7 total requests to speak. We have 7 total requests to speak on items on the consent calendar, all coming via phone. For any members of the public that requested to speak on items on the consent calendar, if you could please dial into the conference line now using those instructions that were provided to you, and we will hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream when they begin speaking, and we will begin with our first caller.
Good morning. I'm Lori Jacobs, and I'm speaking in support of agenda item number 1 with the very positive energy of the acquisition of Butterfield Trails Ranch. I'm speaking both for myself, and I'm also on the board of the Valley Center Trails Association, which co-sponsored our second picnic in the park at Butterfield in October. Our event was attended by approximately 500 people. who came out to celebrate the pending acquisition of this property with us and to enjoy its beauty and close-in location. The Valley Center community is highly supportive of Butterfield as a public space and of the passage of your agenda item number 1 for its acquisition. We urge your yes vote this morning to affirm the purchase of this property for our community. We appreciate your support and thank you for your yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Paula Bold. Wow, the land was appraised at $5 million, $84,000 per acre, but you're only spending $3 million of our tax dollars plus $180,000 overhead this year. What a bargain! All for only 60 plus acres, which could be developed over time to provide trails, open space, and volunteer opportunities. And for all of this, we get positive public health impacts by providing recreational outdoor activities for the surrounding community and region. I'm sure we could get that at a better price. To be realistic, we could do this just about anywhere and for a whole lot less money. It all started with a slick presentation. Guess it fooled you like it did me and so many others. The local emergency, there are sources contaminating our water from North County on down. Few places in Oceanside and Carlsbad and San Leo Lagoon, Mission Bay, San Diego River Mouth, La Jolla Cove and Kids Pool, Coronado, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, and a major sewage plant in the U.S. on the Tijuana River. Perhaps this even includes a recent sewage smell in the lakeside thought to be water flowing from El Capitan Reservoir. I am tired of politicians wasting time, money, and effort on having us fix the sewage problem, quote, in Mexico, that is right here too. Yes, Mexico has many problems, but you should look on both sides of the border before you cry foul or foul odor. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Consuelo. Ditto to everything that Paul the Bold just said. Yeah, let's fix this side before we let's fix our house before we fix anybody else's house. And yeah, I really don't have anything else to say.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Can't believe the consent agenda is so short. I feel like you got to put more stuff in there. It's weird. Yeah, so this whole, trip, Butterfield Trails Ranch, it seems nice. Just like everything, you guys, it seems really good, right? But this is something that still needs to be developed over time. So, I mean, you could just be taking this land, these 60 acres for, $83,333.33, and, not doing anything with it because you want to act like it's going to, give us positive health impacts to have all of this open space and, recreation, which it does. But at the same time, you shouldn't be causing problems with the environment by all the things that you're doing and pretending like that's going to actually help. And I'm just wondering, if you're going to be putting AstroTurf in there like you did at the waterfront park because it's totally toxic and you have kids playing on there right now and you need to be having it removed. So you better not be putting that. And the Newsom just banned it, so you need to be making sure that that's not going in any of these parks and whatnot, because you should be planting regular grass anyway and more trees. The more we get rid of nature, yeah, it's going to, go to crap. And then I'm just wondering, Nora, in your South Korea visit for, collaboration for the mega region, if you were talking to them about this sewage problem and maybe what, you can do about it. But then I also thought you get the money from this emergency and it can help fund your mega region, right? So why would you want to get rid of the problem? have Mexico do their due diligence and duty before even engaging in business with them. But I figure it makes you more money not to do that, right? And then you can just go and, get your mega region and whatnot and open borders, and who cares who comes across, even if they're terrorists, right? It's great. Because then they can just, join our forces and, really just take over the nation then. So pretty interesting what you guys are doing, and how you want to flip it upside down, and what you're doing is good.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hey, it's Truth. Welcome to the Wake Up Party. I'm going to say first, item one, I actually prefer county whole regional parks. It feels familiar for some reason. Let's see, over here, county government's been trying to scoop up 60 acres of land in Valley Center to add to the land monopoly. This item's target has been the Butterfield Ranch property, maybe to protect butterflies that are just going to fly away off the land, or maybe to help mountain lions have a place to congregate and plot the moment they will come down to slaughter our pets. But if it's really to become a county park, the community center, then at least the park should be guaranteed in writing. And it should say who that mystery donor who donated $2 million towards the purchase is, because I want to know. By the way, the cost to taxpayers is over $3.1 million, plus over $410,000 a year in operations. And I'm not necessarily against more parks, but the sustainability statement was a good laugh. Quote, this has potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions associated with vehicle trips, end quote. But who's going to reduce the gas coming from the next item? Because item 2 continues at another fraudulent emergency and complete desperation to get federal debt dollars for the sewage that's been coming from mostly Mexico for decades, that some people only seem to care about now. Where was everybody before I was born? That's my question. Officially, local emergencies only last 60 days, although we found that they can be extended for 3 years for any reason. But do we really need this item? Because I think, Nora, didn't you say recently somewhere that you secured $1 million or $2 million for this issue? Because if so, I want to see proof. Put that money back on IB's table. But seriously, I'm against all emergencies for debt dollars, especially when I know the federal government doesn't care about the people suffering in regards to any border issue, unless it's Ukraine's or Israel's borders. But if this emergency declaration isn't even bringing in debt dollars, there's no reason to keep extending it. I mean, this is the worst emergency ever. Might as well quit while you're behind. Nothing is being produced. Just another.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on the items on the consent calendar.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson. Aye. Supervisor Desmond. Aye. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
And Chairwoman Vargas.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
All right, we will, let's see, we're going to be,
Item 3, yes. Thank you, Chairwoman. I would like to note for the record that item 3 is going to be continued to the December 6th meeting due to technical difficulties with downloading the EIR attachment. With that noted, we will be taking public comment, but it will only be to the continuance of the item. With that noted, we do have 8 total requests to speak, all coming via phone. I'd also like to note for the record, we received 231 e-comments on this item. 76 were in favor, 144 were in opposition, and 6 were neutral. Again, for any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you, and we'll give you a moment to do so. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And again, just to note, we will only be taking public comment only to the continuance of the item. With that being said, we'll hear from our first caller.
It's truth, a continuance because of a technical difficulty. You know, first I'm going to say I actually appreciate that it's being continued. I think I appreciated one yesterday for its continuance as well, different reason. But that's good because when things go wrong at the county, they should be remedied. I wish that was the case on every single item. When it was just wrong, we just go, you know what, we're not doing it today. I would love that. So I actually am speaking to the continuance. What do you know? But technical difficulties, this is not the first time either that an item has had difficulties with the attachment, and yet the item was not continued. That's something that should be considered, because I've definitely had some items where I go to open the attachments and it doesn't work. It comes up messed up looking or something. I don't know, but I'm going to point something out about those community meetings, because there was no, I don't think there was an attachment that said anything about how many stakeholder opinions were collected from the stakeholder event. And I don't think it said anything about how many regular people inputs were collected from the community events, because there were 5 of them. It said that, but it didn't say how many people actually showed up. It didn't say how many stakeholders had their opinions. Or is that the same thing? Because sometimes you guys pretend that it's the same thing, stakeholder and regular person, even though stakeholder is a business term. So I don't know. I'm glad it's being continued, and so I'm not going to really speak to it. I'm just going to say that speech, but thanks for that.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Paul LeBold, I wonder what happened. Maybe the projector balked at the $22 million price tag for developing this community park, which a lot of people don't want. I mean, you know, it's a hell of a lot for a park, and that I think that the community should develop the community garden, not the county. And a lot of residents moved to Alpine for what is there already, not a park. You know, I realize some improvements are in order, but please reconsider. I'm sure you can save a lot of money here. So I'm glad it got, I'm glad it's getting reconsidered. Hope you can, you know, do that. Save a lot of money. Think good thoughts instead of violating our due process and free speech rights and Brown Act and all that stuff. Maybe you can think of a new attorney who actually looks at all of the global rights and what people actually say instead of just putting a blank rubber stamp approved on the documents. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
You know, it's interesting that there's technical difficulties with this. It could be intentional. Who knows? It is. Anything you guys do has some kind of nefarious, like, attachment to it. And so, you know, but I think about how when you talk about wanting to listen to the people, you know, and that's why you, like, you know, cut our time down or want to, right? Because you want to hear from more people and want to give them an opportunity. But anytime anybody comes in from their own community that says, like, I don't want this in my town, it gets put in there anyway. It's really sad because you can have all these people in opposition and just like coming and pleading and being like, please don't do it. And you'll see that the odds of it, I mean, the weight of in favor and not in favor, it's heavier on the not like a opposition side. And, you know, it's like with the solar panel field in Hukumba. And, you know, those people didn't want it, but you guys threw a couple million bucks at them. Let's just give them a couple million bucks. And they'll just appease it. And it's like those people don't even have money to move out of their town. So you're always doing things that, you know, the community opposes to. But then you say that you're representing the people, and you can't be, because that's not true. And you wouldn't have to change behaviors of people in order to get them to like comply and capitulate with what you're doing. So it's very sad that you sit here and act like you represent anyone when you go against the very people that have to deal with all the impacts of the things that you're doing. And then just virtue signal and claim and be like double speak like you want, you know, to get the input from the people, because you really don't. If you did, you would listen to them and you wouldn't throw money at them. You wouldn't, you know, do things just to get your plans through. And especially like a $45,575,000 park that they don't want. It's pretty wasteful of the people's money for you guys to sit there and continue to do business like this. It's completely fraudulent, but you do it anyway.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Amen to all the previous callers. And yeah, that would be great, Paul. That's a great suggestion for, you know, and unfortunately, we don't have rights and the people have privileges, because anytime, you know, the government says it's going to be a certain way, well, guess what? No matter who speaks up, it's gonna be a certain way. And we have to remember who in fact they're working for, and it's not us. So, gosh, I wish there was a way that maybe, you know, you board supervisors, you claim that you want more public engagement or more people instead of the same few who show up. Maybe you can like connect to all the local media stations, you know, letting them know when the meetings take place, how they can go about getting involved. You know, instead of having to pay people or to, you know, write scripts for, you know, people to speak up on your behalf, like get a real, authentic public, you know, engaged, and they can form their own opinion and see what, in fact, you guys are doing and don't do for the people. That'd be great. Hope everybody got good sleep last night. Haven't had my coffee yet, but, you know, what's going to come.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hi, my name is Julie Simper. I'm an Alpine resident, and thank you for this opportunity to comment. I will target my comments to the continuance. We are pleased to hear that that has been the case for whatever the reason. We also are pleased to hear the total of e-comments that were provided, which does show approximately 65% in opposition, which has been consistently the case. I hope that this continuance will provide the Board of Supervisors the appropriate time to reflect and really look at these comments, to really hear the population of Alpine, to also look at some of the legal concerns that have been brought forth by a large portion of the community, in hopes that we can, again, use this time provided by the continuance to do better, to find a solution that can actually unite the community versus divide it, which is the case currently. Thank you very much, and we look forward to discussing further at the December 6th meeting.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
The next item on the agenda is item number 4, set a hearing for December 6th, 2023, Newsom Parcel Open Space Vacation and Addendum to previously adopted mitigated negative declaration. Do I have to read all that? PDS 2022 BAC 2022-003 Julian Community Plan Area. Can you please call speakers from the public?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We do have four total requests to speak, all coming via phone. Also like to note for the record, we did not receive any e-comments on this item. Again, for any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using those instructions that were provided to you. We will go ahead and hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it's your turn, please unmute yourself. Then you will hear a recording to telling you to begin your comments after the beep. Please go ahead and mute your TV or live video stream before you begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller as soon as they call into the queue. Again, we are on item 4, waiting for public speakers to call in.
Well, I didn't even get to say anything. It just put me right in the queue. So how do you know who's calling in? Yeah, so any time that we want to pretend to offer services for people, I think it is best that, people tend to go and maintain it themselves, because I feel like, we'll get money that comes from taxes and different things, and it never really gets spent on what it needs to be. And, or, because the maintenance doesn't get continually done, then the people have, less money to take care of what they need to with the roads, because I don't know what I'm saying. But whatever. I just really, how are you guys doing? I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think it's important for people to take back anything from the government that they have control of to maintain or do anything with, because everything you guys touch turns to ash. I mean, so, anytime you're offering to provide something, I just don't trust that it will get done, and the money won't just go into somebody else's pocket. So I think that, having people maintain their roads, since you aren't going to do it, would be better than you pretending to provide it. And plus, people can, figure out what they need and not have somebody else coming in and deciding that for them. I don't know, because there's never even enough funding to get done what needs to be done. But, I mean, you guys don't want us driving, so why would we? What's the point in fixing the roads, right? I mean, that would be dumb, because that would incentivize people to drive. But first, you got to get them out of the unincorporated area, too. So, I mean, you probably want to, I don't know, figure something out there. A fire's good. Those fires work pretty good that you guys like to do. So maybe when you do one of those, it's good enough, just having the that you want.
Thank you. Your time is up, and we'll go ahead and hear from our next speaker.
I want to be the minority. I don't need your authority. Truth. Instead of a real vacation, Tom Newsom will shell out over $16,000 for vacation of some land for his own private property in Julian that government approves easements for. But I want to see that single-family home get built. I always have to celebrate when I hear a real house being built rather than the usual ugly, sustainable, slate gray, stack and pack prison block housing project. But I'd like to know how, quote, an oversight occurred in the creation of a parcel from a recorded 2007 parcel map, end quote. How was an open space easement approved over a septic system plan? Which county worker was at fault for that error? And why wasn't that oversight caught sooner? How many other parcel maps are inaccurate? I definitely support remedying what sounds like a county mistake, prove me wrong, especially since the septic system can't be installed anywhere else on the parcel. Now things have to be rededicated, kind of like me after surviving a long meeting yesterday. It's take two for the biological open space easement and the limited building zone easement. I don't understand, though, why there has to be official open space and building limitations to restrict certain uses of a person's property at all. The sensitive habitat lands and the sensitive human climate conservation feelings will be okay. But so because of this, I'm not sure why requirement, Andrew's got another job to do on this item. He must file the paperwork. You guys are putting him a lot of work here. And Tom's money will go to the resolution prep, the public notice, board letter, and public hearing documents. He basically has to pay government to do its job at the highest rate possible. That's what all these fees totaling over $16,000 amounts to. And for the record, no, it's not really.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Consuelo. So yeah, I know we're on land use and all that stuff, but it's just amazing how I want to read you guys a meme that I saw yesterday, and it says, "The more carbon dioxide you have, the more plants you have. The more plants you have, the more oxygen you have. This is 5th grade science." And somebody responded, "I can't believe how easy it was for them to convince carbon-based life forms that carbon is the enemy. Holy shit, the fluoride is totally working." I also saw another meme. It was so clever. It looks like one of those green, you're now in, Orange County, whatever, signs and population, all that. Anyways, it reads, "Now leaving California." And then below that it says, "Leaving so soon, ? Was it something we taxed?" I just love those memes. They were so cute. Anyways, I'm done.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
And that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
Thank you. All right, we'll now proceed to item number 5, sunset review for board policy J16, use of permanent road division zones for maintenance of local roads and related CEQA exceptions. I'm going to turn the floor over to the county team.
Great. Good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. I'm Derek Gady, Director of Department of Public Works, and with me today is Jen Winfrey, Unit Manager for the Private Road and Landscape Maintenance Section. Today, we'll be briefing you on the proposed changes to Board Policy J16, the use of permanent road division zones for maintenance of local roads. In June of 2021, the Board of Supervisors directed the CAO to return with options to amend board policy to ensure the private road division zones are adequately funded to sustain a specific pavement condition index level. The proposed amendments reflect input from community members and are designed to enhance customer service, transparency, and improve road conditions in the PRD program. These changes will not impact current PRD rates. Special districts are created to provide new or enhanced services and infrastructure to specific communities and are primarily funded with property owner paid assessments or special taxes. Permanent road division zones, or PRD zones, are a type of special district that provides private road maintenance services and are governed by state law and board policy J16. The authorized services, maximum rate, and how annual charges are calculated for each parcel are established through district formation through the Board of Supervisors approved ordinances. Next, Jen Winfrey will talk about PRD program efforts.
The PRD program currently consists of 67 PRD zones that maintain approximately 100 miles of road. 59% of PRD zones were formed before 1980 and may have maximum rates that no longer meet today's funding needs due to increased costs for road work. DPW staff regularly work with property owners to determine support for funding and service levels. Annual revenues are $1.7 million, and this year's budget is $8.5 million, which includes $3 million for planned road work, with the balance available for emergency repairs. Stakeholder outreach for this item included 12 virtual public meetings and workshops. Letters and presentations were available in all threshold languages. More than 400 people attended meetings, and another 250 called, emailed, or sent letters to ask questions or provide feedback. Staff are recommending 3 amendments to Board Policy J16, which will enhance services by improving transparency and timeliness of maintenance services, minimizing cost impacts to property owners, and increasing affordability, which will allow for greater community participation in the PRD program. The amendments are to clarify the role of road committees, clarify the repayment term for formation and rate increase costs, increase county loan amounts for roadwork projects under $500,000, and extend repayment terms for PRD loans. I will now present each option and recommendation. PRD road committees can be a valuable way for the county to engage with property owners within a PRD zone. Committees provide community input on road conditions and can reduce administrative costs by answering general inquiries from property owners. Board policy only requires PRD zones to have road committees during new formations. During outreach, property owners expressed concerns about committees' role in determining road work, that committees were not representative of the community and don't provide equitable options for participation. To enhance the transparency and reduce concerns raised by property owners, staff recommend amending Board Policy J16 to define the role of road committees as volunteers who gather and provide community input regarding road maintenance to county staff. County staff utilize community input when scoping upcoming road work. This clarification would address property owners' concerns of inequitable decision-making while maintaining the benefit of having a community liaison. The majority of property owners expressed support for having road committees, with most preferring volunteer committees. The cost to form new PRD zones or increase assessment rates in existing zones varies between $25,000 and $60,000. The county pays for these costs up front from general purpose revenue, and if a PRD zone is formed or a rate increase is approved, the advances were paid from PRD revenues. State law does not define a repayment term for these costs, but does require PRD zone debts to be repaid within 10 years. Board Policy J16 also does not define a repayment term for these costs. Current county practice is to require repayment within 3 years. To improve accessibility to the PRD program, staff recommend clarifying the repayment term for formation and rate increase costs as up to 10 years. This will improve the timeliness of road maintenance by allowing more of the PRD revenues to be allocated to road maintenance during repayment. The majority of property owners express support for this amendment. The last option for the board to consider is to increase PRD loan amounts and extend the repayment term. State law allows counties to create revolving loan funds of up to $500,000 for special districts. State law also requires a repayment term not to exceed 10 years, but allows counties to establish a shorter repayment term, and Board Policy J16 specifies a 5-year term. To improve the PRD loan program, staff recommend increasing the loan amount from $100,000 to $150,000 for projects under $500,000 and extending the repayment term from 5 years to up to 10 years. Increasing the loan repayment term and amount would improve accessibility to the loan program and timeliness of road work. The majority of property owners express support for this amendment.
Staff recommendations are to find the proposed action as exempt from CEQA, approve the amendments as recommended by staff, and establish a sunset review date of December 31st, 2030. And this concludes our presentation, and we are available for questions.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up for public comment, and then I'll ask my colleagues if they have any specific questions.
Thank you, Chairman Vargas. We have 8 total requests to speak, 4 individuals in person, and 4 requesting to speak by phone. I also like to note for the record, we did receive 2 e-comments on this item. Both were in opposition. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using those instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speaker. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Dan Klein, Brees Ramil, Jim Ramil, and Richard Abraham. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the record. You can come forward in any order.
My name is Brees Remily. I strongly oppose the first listed change, clarify the role of PRD committees as volunteers. It includes the addition of this line to the policy: county staff consider community input and conditions of the road and available funding when developing improvement and maintenance plans. As the board document says, quote, county staff consider the input when making final decisions on the road projects. This is a big change, not a clarification. PRDs in this policy are governed by California Street and Highway Code 1160 to 1197. It grants the authority to initiate road work at any time after forming a PRD to the landowners and doesn't authorize the county to initiate road work projects. This change is therefore not authorized by state law. Property owners who own the road, who use the road every day, and who pay for the work should make these decisions. Although called a clarification, this change gives the power to make roadwork decisions to the county, where the current version does not. This is a major change, not a clarification. So it is not allowed in policy A76, governing sunset reviews, which only allows for particular specific types of minor changes. Transfer of decision-making power from property owners to the county is not one of the three changes that was listed in the letter to the members of the PRDs or in the board policy. Instead, it was included underneath the clarification to the committee's role. This was not adequate notification to the property owners, many of whom told us that the letter, which was 3 pages long, was confusing and that they didn't understand it. Please vote no on this change. Thank you.
Next speaker.
I'm the chairman for Harrison Park. Neil Shearing, is it, and Jeff Schofield told me to set up a meeting. I had a month ahead of time at the church. They didn't show. Had 30 people there, and it just seems like, you know, this is not right. Absolutely. How much is that going to assess our taxes? Nobody can tell you. They're going to lend us $500,000. Who's going to pay for it? You know, something's got to be done. I think the thing is to be no.
Next speaker.
Good morning, Jim Remley, PRD 101 Chair. We're against the proposed change to policy J16 that defines the role of communities.
Sorry,
as
sir,
gathering.
I'm going to pause your time. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Jim Remley, PRD 101 Chair. We're against the proposed changes to policy J16 that define the role of road committees as gathering and providing input and giving final decision-making authority on road work to the county. County staff considers the community, quote, county staff considers the community input when making the final decision on road projects, unquote. We should vote on road work projects and any loans or assessments to pay for them. We own the road and we use it every day. The state streets and highway codes governing PRDs appears to give property owners the right to initiate road work and doesn't give that right to the county. If the county decides that a road needs more work than our fund can pay for, money needs to be raised to pay for it. I'm concerned that the county will decide that we have to take on a loan to pay for it and raise assessments to pay it back. It should be clearly stated in the policy. Our letter in the board document listed 3 changes in the summary which do not include granting the county the power to make roadwork decisions. This should have been clearly called out as a change. The sunset review process states that the review is to ensure that the policy reflects current board standards and practices, that obsolete policies and code provisions are removed, and that policy language is revised for clarity. This is a big change. It's not a clarification, and it should not be approved. Thank you.
Richard Abraham, and I'm PRD 101. I'm dead against this policy change because it's giving the county too much authority to, I guess, raise our taxes. Right now, the road is a private road, and public uses the road because it's a major access from Eucalyptus Hills down to Highway 67. And I guess my question would be, if the county says the road needs to be repaired and then they raise the tax, do we get to vote on it, or is it just an arbitrary decision? I mean, to me, we'd have to vote on it to raise the assessment, and they tried to raise the assessment, and the homeowner said no. And right now, our road committee, we're buying the asphalt and we're filling in the potholes on our own to keep the road usable. If this passes, will we still be able to do that? And then also, we're getting billed for all kinds of assessments. We're getting 35% of our fees have been taken for admin costs, and yet we have yet to get a breakdown as to what this admin cost is for. I mean, they're taking our money. We put so much money in. We need to know what we're paying for. It's just an honest question. It's all I'd like. And I'm against this, and I think you should vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will hear from those that are requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And we'll begin with our first caller.
This is truth, and no, I did not really get sleep. Was the end of my sentence. But I still checked out these county codes up for revision, possibly turning the road committee members into county advisor committees. I'm not sure if I support that. Permanent road division districts are supposed to maintain roads via taxes people pay to be part of the tax club. But as evidenced in previous meetings, those taxes have occasionally gone to painting the streets and putting up signs for thousands of dollars rather than road maintenance. And that's why we're hearing the gentleman say, yeah, they're filling in potholes themselves because the county's not doing their job. And in order to ensure PRD zones are adequately funded for satisfactory road maintenance, that means tax rates people pay are going to go up. Maybe not now, but in the future. So where else would the money come from? Attachment A will now say, quote, all costs associated with rate increases shall be funded by PRD zones. Costs for approved rate increases will be repaid within a term not to exceed 10 years, end quote. And not just maintenance, but now improvements are also included in the updated policy. So that's another cost to live up to. You can't say that rates aren't going to go up when inflation makes everything go up, and everyone's trying to keep up to increase wages, and that just creates more inflation. The rates are going to go up. If people aren't getting the work done, then you can see why they're unsatisfied, and they want more transparency, participation, and a county commitment to minimizing costs. So I'm glad there were actually workshops that people actually attended, because Attachment E says a whole bunch of people didn't even know that they lived within a PRD zone. And for the survey, let's see, 56 out of 4,900 property owners filled out the county survey. That's 0.01% of people affected that actually participated in that. That's a little too bad. But the county recently had a district give up on the county actually fixing anything. They just opted out and dissolved the district. So once again, I recommend.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
My name is Kathleen Lippett, and I adamantly oppose this item because whenever community members have been told that the county will consider community input, what that really means is they might listen, but they will not hear them, and they will not make a decision that is in their best interest. These community members who are expected to pay for these items in taxpayer funding, et cetera, should have a say in their local government. You are taking away more power from them, and it is really unacceptable. The community members can no longer trust the county will act in the best interest of community members. You have shown that time and time again with the policies that you've imposed on communities without their input. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Yeah, as Consuelo was saying about, the carbon dioxide and oxygen, we need that because it creates more oxygen. The plants will recycle it and give it back to us so that we can thrive and there'll be more plants. And so when you guys want to sit here and do all this stuff with vacating open space, you're keeping people from being able to build their properties. This owner had 4 parcels in 207 that someone new bought and wanted to correct an issue for the septic availability. And so it's just funny because anytime we want to do anything to, save the climate, we're like keeping people from being able to do anything with their own property, and that's the whole point, because if things worked right, we would be able to get properties built in a very fast manner instead of having to jump through so many hoops just to save the planet, wind up costing us more money and taking a lot more time and, people just kind of giving up. actually funny because right now I'm totally not talking about the item at hand, and I wasn't on the one before, and I didn't get stopped. Is this just still on topic? Is that okay? I don't know. It's just so confusing. It's like, but I'm just going to keep going since Nora's not paying attention. Maybe she isn't even in there. I'm not sure. But yeah, you never listen to the people anyway. So even on this whole item 5 that I was talking about the last time, you don't listen to the people, and you will do whatever you guys, want to do. And again, you say you listen to the people, but you really don't, because you're not even listening to me right now, which who cares, right? Because, I mean, I don't have anything good to say, but, you're just you never know with stuff. Like one day you could be arrested, one day you could talk like this all you want, one day you could be on non-agenda and be speaking about something and be told you're off topic. I mean, crazy world we live in.
Thank you. Your time is up. And to note for the record, that speaker was Audra. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hey, Consuelo. So yeah, topic of land use. I just followed a county truck right now in my community, and guess what? They're still spraying Roundup. And I notified I told this guy, I said, hey, I notified the board about you guys spraying Roundup before Hurricane Hillary came to our county, and they've still not done anything about it. I asked him what he's got in his bottles, his tanks. He said it's Roundup and some other stuff. I said, oh my gosh. I said, do you know who the chair of our county is? He's like, Helen Robbins Myers. I said, no. I said, do you know who Nora Vargas is? He's like, no. Yeah, no. They don't know who you are. You're not doing your job. I've already let you know. I honestly don't have to go and look up natural ways to combat weeds, as you guys like to call them. Actually, weeds, dandelions, all that stuff is excellent for you. That's why they don't want the people having it. Anyways, and then they're doing it in this freaking, where are they at here? I'm going to get off right now. Because I interviewed him. I told him he's not in trouble. He's just doing his job like everybody else. And, hey, brother, where are you spraying at? Huh? The canyon. Where are you spraying at? And I got a supervisor's number, and you guys don't care about the people. You don't care about the workers. They don't care about you because you're handling this stuff. I'm on a call with the Board of Supervisors. And they're just, they don't care about you guys. So this is where you guys spraying at. And the water, what is this area?
Drainage?
The drainage.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right. I have so much to say. Is there a... Go ahead, Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. These PRDs, when I learned about them, these are private road divisions. Is that right? The PRD? They're kind of a conundrum that government just can't get out of its own way sometimes. My understanding, and I read the comments that the Department of Public Works put out and to some of these questions that the speakers had given. And I guess the problem is, once they give the money to the county for road repairs on private roads, and I think this is a good thing that we offer this service because I used to live on a private road, and we didn't have any sort of a functioning board or anything like that. They just hit each other up for about $4 or $5 grand every year, and we redid the roads. But some people could afford it, some people couldn't. But I think this is a good service. But when we get their money, all of a sudden it becomes government money or public money. Is that right? And then when it turns into public money, unfortunately, then there's different rules that have to be followed, and these informal, I guess is what you're calling them, committees of the people there can't really have the final say because it's government money now. And if we want to grant them that final say, they have to then follow the Brown Act, they have to have open meetings, and it's going to cost a lot more for us to try to manage that than not. So basically, I guess what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we'll keep taking your money, but you got to trust us on making these decisions because that's the way government's set up. It just kind of, that's the way it seems to be rolling out. And it's not, I don't think, a bad thing, but I also think it's a good thing. I mean, it's their road, it's a private road. And if they want to keep it private, I'm assuming they can always dissolve the PRD and take their, get their money back or most of their money back or what hasn't been, it cost us to manage it, the government to manage it. But it seems like there is a choice that they can, I don't know, hopefully I characterized that correctly. And could you expand on what some of the people are saying about taking away the power of them to make the final decision on what gets done?
Yes, currently in PRD road committees in San Diego County are informal committees following Board Policy J16, which describes them as PRD zones must have committees with a designated chairperson, and committee meetings must be open to all affected landowners. And that's the total description of road committees in both county policy and state law, Street and Highways Code. The county did look at different options, and those, if the board would like us to look into those, like you mentioned, converting these informal volunteer committees into formal advisory committees, we would be happy to do so.
But that's going to cost them more money that we are going to charge them for because of the service, that's more service that we have to provide, and they have to be formal and notice meetings and everything else, which might be beneficial for the people who are in these committees. But I mean, if you could talk to them and see if that's an avenue. And quite frankly, the option is if they don't like, unfortunately, the way the government has to operate with your dollars, they can do it on their own, correct?
Yes, that's true. The PRD program is a good option for some communities, but it's not a perfect fit for every community. And property owners do have the ability to initiate dissolution of their own districts if they would like to do so. And those provisions are laid forward in J16, and we do present those every time that we speak with communities about rate and service level options so that they know that dissolution and exiting the program is an option.
So there's always pros and cons. If you want to go with the government, it's government rules. And if you want to do it on your own, then it's your own rules. So that's kind of where I see we're stuck with. We got to do things in certain ways because that money becomes government money when you give to the. And I do think for some entities it's a good thing because otherwise they probably never get to agreement, and some people are going to be able to afford to pay, and some people are saying I'm not going to pay anything. So I think it's a little more, even though there's roadblocks, to lack of another term, to making final decisions. It can solely be made by the private owners if they choose to, but then they got to sever themselves from the government. Is really kind of what it sounds like. So are you willing to meet with the folks and see what can be worked out? But again, this is government getting in its own way, but we got rules that we have to follow as well. So, and it's not trying to take the power over the people, but that's what happens when you give us your money. Appreciate it. So thank you very much if you could do that. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully you can work with folks. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve it, but hopefully you can work with the constituents and get to where they want to be. And if they want to dissolve, they can dissolve. Thanks.
All right, any additional discussion? Okay. No, seeing none, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is our local micro-enterprise home kitchen operations program. Woohoo! I'm super excited about this one. And this is an update and options for continued authorization. This is Supervisor Anderson and mine's super cool program, right? No? So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our team. I'm going to let them settle in and they can give us an update. And then what we'll do is we'll go to public comment. We'll do the presentation, public comment, and then we'll have a discussion. How about that? Okay?
Good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. My name is Amy Harbert, and I'm the Director of the Department of Environmental Health and Quality. And with me today is Heather Bonomo, Division Director of Environmental Health, and Ryan Johnson, Chief of Operations from our food program. In January of 2022, the board adopted a local temporary microenterprise home kitchen operations, or MECO, program in the region for a period of 2 years. MECOs are home-based food businesses that prepare and sell meals directly to customers to be consumed on site, taken to go, or delivered directly to the customer, similar to a mini restaurant. Authorization for the program will sunset on February 25th of 2024, at which point MECOs would no longer be able to operate in the region. We are here today to share with you about this program's success and to request your consideration of taking action to continue authorization of a local program. I will now hand it over to Heather to summarize staff's actions on prior board direction and options for your consideration today.
In addition to authorizing a temporary program, the board also directed staff to assess the program by working with all jurisdictions in the region to gather data related to MECO implementation, community impacts or complaints, as well as food safety data such as reports of foodborne illness and retail food safety compliance, and to provide trainings for city staff and operational leads in all jurisdictions in the region to share best practices to reduce, prevent, and/or address nuisance activity. Currently, DEHQ has 61 permits for MECOs in the region. PDS collaborated with DEHQ to provide land use and zoning specific resources and training for staff throughout the region. DEHQ provided monthly program updates, shared data, and threaded concerns received from local agencies with the MECO working group that includes representatives from all local jurisdictions. DEHQ also held over 40 stakeholder and outreach meetings, as well as sent out a survey to obtain feedback from stakeholders and provided guidance documents on our website in multiple threshold languages. Overall, stakeholders are supportive of the program continuing and did not provide any specific concerns related to community impacts. Since implementing the MECO program, 2 bills were signed into state law modifying the program and providing policy options for regulations that pertain to 2 home-based food businesses, MECOs and cottage food operations. Similar to a MECO, cottage food operations are home-based food businesses, but instead of providing an open menu offering, they are restricted to selling only low-risk, non-potentially hazardous food items, such as baked goods, and have a gross annual sales limit of $150,000. Since the new laws cover both MECO and cottage food operations, the board has the option of considering making changes to both the MECO and cottage food programs. The new state law regulations that were modified and do not include a policy option are a new type of food facility for sidewalk vendors called a compact mobile food operation, which is a non-motorized food cart allowed to conduct limited food preparation to serve food such as hot dogs, roasted corn, or churros. An increase to the maximum weekly meals that a MECO can prepare and sell from 60 to 90 meals per week, an increase in the maximum amount of gross annual sales that a MECO can have from $50,000 to $100,000, and adding a definition of a meal, which is the amount or quantity of food that is intended to be consumed by one customer in one sitting. The state laws that created policy options for MECO and cottage food businesses to expand operations will be detailed in the forthcoming slides. Today, the board is asked to consider the following options: authorize a local MECO program by selecting option 2A, or decline to authorize a local MECO program by selecting option 2B. Based on feedback from stakeholders, staff recommends the board authorize a MECO program for the region. If the board chooses 2A, then the board can consider options 3 through 6 to expand MECO operations further. If the board chooses option 2A or 2B, the board can still consider option 7 to expand cottage food operations. Each option on the following slides are independent of each other, and one, multiple, or all can be selected. Option 3 expands MECOs by allowing the operation of 2 carts in addition to the MECO operation, where carts could sell non-potentially hazardous foods with sales from the cart not counting towards the annual meal or gross annual sales limits in state law. Option 4 allows a MECO with up to 2 carts to operate as a commissary, which is a location where food for a cart is prepared and the cart is cleaned and stored, with sales and meals from the cart counting towards the state limitations. Option 5 would allow a MECO operating a cart to increase the number of individual meals prepared and sold from a maximum of 30 per day and 90 per week to an amount determined by the board. For example, the board could choose 40 meals per day and 120 meals per week. Option 6 would allow MECOs operating a cart to increase gross annual sales from $100,000 to an amount determined by the board. For example, the board could raise the annual sales limit to $150,000 annually for MECOs operating a cart. Option 7 expands cottage food businesses by allowing the addition of 2 carts to sell non-potentially hazardous foods, with sales from a cart not counting towards their state limitation on gross annual sales of $150,000. This slide contains a summary of the options presented today, with staff recommended options identified. MECO options are in green and the cottage food operation is in blue. Today, the board is requested to find that the options presented are exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act and receive options referenced in the action sheet attachment G. If the board selects option 2A, consider providing direction on options 3 through 6 to expand MECO businesses. Separately, the board is asked to provide direction on option 7 to expand cottage food businesses. If the board chooses options 2A and/or any of options 3 through 7, the board is asked to waive Board Policy B29 related to the department responsibility for cost recovery. Choosing any of the options today requires the board to approve the introduction of the ordinance that reflects the direction provided by the board. On December 6, 2023, the board will be asked to consider and adopt the ordinance related to the options selected today. This concludes our presentation, and staff are available to answer any questions.
All right, we're going to go ahead and hear from the public, and then we'll have a discussion as a board.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Vargas. We have 16. Thank you, Chairman Vargas. We have 16 total requests to speak, 9 individuals in person, and 7 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we received 20 e-comments on this item, 19 in favor and 1 in opposition. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I will be calling individuals in groups of 5. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Roya Bagari, Leonardo Ortiz, Yanari, I believe it's Mahano, my apologies, Karen Melwin, and Ana Cruz. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and if you could please begin by stating your name for the record.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Roya Bagari. Hello, Board of Supervisors. My name is Roya Bagari, and I'm the Executive Director of the Cook Alliance, a nonprofit working to legitimize and support informal home cooking businesses. We thank you all for giving MECOs a chance and implementing this pilot program in San Diego County. This pilot program has made an incredible impact on our community and enabled the creation of more than 60 new small businesses, the majority of whom are women and people of color. I also wanted to express our gratitude to the Department of Environmental Health, who have put together a permitting process that has been accessible and easy to navigate for our home cooks. I want to share that thanks to the MECO implementation, we were able to work with 4 other San Diego nonprofits to form the San Diego Food Justice Project, earn a California Seed 2.0 grant, and disperse $750,000 in direct micro grants to 169 micro food entrepreneurs, including MECOs, cottage food operators, and street vendors. Thanks to SB 972, street vendors could have the opportunity to use a MECO as a commissary kitchen, creating a viable pathway to obtaining their permits and growing their businesses. We work with street vendor support groups to issue a survey to street vendors about their typical operations. Based upon their responses and input, we support raising the limits for vendors using a MECO as a commissary to 80 meals per day, 200 meals per week, and $150,000 in gross annual sales. This will account for their typical weekend operations and enable the permitted growth of vending, and also allow Micos the opportunity to expand their businesses, potentially work out of farmers markets, and have more opportunities. So I urge you to empower the home cooking and vending community by voting yes on Micos and all of the options, specifically expanding the limits for vending through options 5 and 6 and 7. Thank you so much.
Leonardo Ortiz. All right. My name is Leonardo Ortiz, Economic Development Program Manager for the Small Business Department with Logan Heights CDC. In the past year and a half, we've worked closely with DEHQ, different organizations, in helping micro-entrepreneurs and small businesses around the county of San Diego. We've helped over 80 food business entrepreneurs and providing them that assistance, startup assistance that they need. And we are in total approval with the changes being recommended on being able to pull up those limits for our vendors. Not only does this program allow individuals and families to chase their dreams, but it comes at a low cost from them to a typical starting out at like a location or something like that. So this empowers them to have that ability as well, right? And time again, the major hurdle for a lot of these businesses, if they're trying to set up at farmers markets or as sidewalk vendors, has always been a commissary. So allowing the micro-enterprise home kitchen to become a commissary for these businesses will be a great accomplishment. All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Melvin, and I'm a co-lead with the San Diego Mico Coalition and a board member of the Cook Alliance. I want to thank you for voting unanimously in 2022 for the Mico permit program here in San Diego. The Mico program has allowed home chefs to follow their dreams and pursue opportunities not previously open to them. It has been a game changer for many chefs and their families while benefiting the communities they serve. I'm proud to say that today there are Micos operating in every single one of your districts. Over the past year, I have visited 20 Micos, eaten their food, and heard their stories. The home chefs are often cooking family recipes with home-cooked flavors that are unmatched by large commercial venues. Most of these Micos are takeout and delivery operations, but a few are intimate backyard restaurants. Many home chefs acquired a love for cooking at an early age, and they see cooking as a way to share their love and heritage with their customers. Future goals of Mico chefs range from becoming a caterer, getting a food truck, or eventually having a brick-and-mortar restaurant. But many also want to grow their Mico to build generational wealth and have a business to pass on to their children. Micos are driving a change in the status quo in the area of business ownership. The equity impact statement for this agenda item states Riverside County statistics of Mico operations being 85% people of color, 60% women. The numbers for San Diego are roughly the same. These percentages stand in stark contrast to the current U.S. statistics for business owners in this county, where there are only 26% people of color and only 26% are women. Mico ownership is making a difference in those numbers. Today, you'll hear personal stories from Mico chefs and how your 2022 vote opened doors for them that were previously shut. The Mico movement is truly just getting started, and with your vote today, the program will continue to provide opportunities for economic growth, improve food safety, and meeting the needs of community and helping dreams come true. I also stand in ownership of the 80 meals a day, 200 meals a week for the mobile cart vendors.
Time's up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, good morning. My name is Yanira Majano, and I am here to share my great experience with the Mico program. I'm from El Salvador, and I'm the owner of Pupusas, Love Pupusas, and is a home-based restaurant. I'm an internal auditor by profession, but cooking is my passion. Last year, my dream of owning my home-based restaurant came true. Mico has given me the opportunity to start a business with very little capital. And that's what a lot of people are just, love the Mico program, because it's just a starter for everybody. Mico also gave me the courage to start something that I had been putting off for a while, and I was able to start something from home, and also having my family to help out as well. Miko showed me that I can do it, and now I'm looking into taking my business to the next level of starting with a food truck, and hopefully later on open my own business. But this is something that I really have enjoyed the experience of working with Miko and the Miko support that I get, and I know that a lot of people are going to be looking forward and trying to get this, all the benefits that they can get from the Miko program. Thank you.
Thank you. And as our next speaker is coming to the podium, I'll call the remaining in-person speakers. Ana Estrada, Rosa Miranda, Alejandra Cordero, and Michelle Asieno. You may come and stand under the east wall under the murals. Thank you. Go ahead and begin your comments.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Ana Cruz, and I am part of community.
We have to have 3 in person.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so because we only have 4 board members right now. We had an election yesterday. We officially wouldn't have 5 members, soon on December 5th. We have some challenges even when there's a person online, we have to have 3 people on the dais at all times. Otherwise, we lose quorum. And unfortunately, Supervisor Desmond stepped out. And in the past, you were able to do that when the laws were different, but the laws changed, and now as soon as somebody leaves, the meeting basically stops. So he didn't know that, and everything happened really fast. So I want to make sure that we have quorum while you're speaking. I know, sorry, the rules. So please, I apologize. When he comes back, we'll continue with the meeting, okay?
Thank you.
I know. I'm sorry about that. Don't worry about it. You're an old man. It's okay. No worries. We got you. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
You can go ahead and begin your comments, and if you could please state your name for the record, be greatly appreciated.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Ana Cruz. I am part of Community Power Collective and part of California Street Vendors Campaign, a coalition of community-based organizations and street vendors who have been working for years to advance and protect the rights of low-income vendors. Today, I'm here in support of Miko because it gives the opportunity to make a living for hardworking people. At the same time, the preparation of food will be safe because vendors have to get the proper permits to operate in home kitchens. This program should be considered as an integral piece of comprehensive racial and economic equity policy initiative, as this program will benefit people of color, beyond offering much-needed income to underserved people. These home kitchens provide opportunities for intercultural education and sense of community pride and hope for the future. The cost of inspection and other permits must be accessible for low income, since it is one permit amount multiple, which can put the seller in debt before being able to use their permits. Please consider to increase the gross annual sales allowed for Miko. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Su nombre primero.
Buenos días, miembros de esta mesa. Mi nombre es Rosa Miranda.
Good morning, county members. My name is Rosa Miranda.
Soy organizadora con Colectivo Poder Comunitario en Los Ángeles.
And I am an organizer of the collective Community Power in Los Angeles.
El programa MICO se está adoptando en otros condados de California.
MICOS, that program is being adopted in other counties in California.
Y San Diego está siendo el ejemplo modelo de hacer lo correcto para apoyar las microempresas.
And it is San Diego, which is the model city that is supporting the micro enterprises.
MICO permitirá el almacenamiento de carritos de cocinar alimentos no potencialmente peligrosos.
And MICO will go ahead and store the products for cooking and make sure that they're not dangerous.
También queremos abogar para que se aumente el límite de ingresos.
We also would like to advocate in order to increase the income.
Este programa es una pieza integral de una iniciativa integral de política de equidad racial y económica.
And this is a program that is a very, very important part of this very necessary initiative for equality in race, politics, and for also financial.
Ya que beneficiaría a personas de color de la clase trabajadora.
Because it would benefit colored people of color that are part of the working class.
Los vendedores ambulantes solo necesitan la oportunidad para trabajar.
The only thing that the street vendors need is the opportunity to work.
Y ser aportadores de la economía de esta gran ciudad.
And also help to the economy of this great city.
Piensen en el costo de vida.
And please also think about the cost of living.
Los vendedores solo necesitan el apoyo para los costos, ya que los permisos deberían de ser de bajos ingresos.
And these vendors, they just need to worry about the cost and also the permits that they need. They need to be for low income.
En Los Ángeles, el 65% son mujeres.
Okay. In the city of Los Angeles, 65% of these people are women.
Madres solteras.
And single mothers.
Mujeres que han salido de violencia doméstica.
And also women that have been able to escape from domestic violence.
Y no quieren ser parte de una carga pública.
And they don't want to be part, of being a nuisance for the public.
Solo necesitamos las oportunidades y MICO daría esa oportunidad.
We just need the opportunities, and MICO's, will give us that.
Confío que ustedes serán el ejemplo y apoyarán MICO.
I trust that you're going to be the example and you will support MICO.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Alejandra Cordero. I am representing La Cocina de Trini, that is my business, it's MICO license, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I think this program has been a great success from the very beginning, full of great experiences and learning and growth for everybody, and it has grown, providing economic and learning opportunities for its members, and there is still much to improve, but we have been only in a path of progress. So I think it would be very important that it becomes a permanent program. The increase in sales, without a doubt, would open a path for more commitment from its members. And you know that all the people that operate MICO are self-disciplined and very committed people who wants to grow and to give a good example for their families besides the money, right? And I know that you have in your hands and wisdom and knowledge all the power to make this a permanent program, and I certainly hope that you vote in favor. Thank you very much.
Next speaker.
Buenos días, Mesa de Supervisores.
Good morning, County Board of Supervisors.
Mi nombre es Ana Estrada.
My name is Ana Estrada.
Soy vendedora ambulante y estoy con la organización de vendedores ambulantes para ayudarnos y apoyarnos unos con otros.
And I am a street vendor, and I'm with the organization of the Collective Community Power, and that is to support one another.
Este programa debe considerarse una pieza integral de una iniciativa integral.
And this needs to be considered a big, very integral piece, of this initiative.
La equidad racial y económica, ya que este programa beneficiará a personas de color.
And this is equity for racial, because this is also would benefit, people of color.
Más allá de ofrecer ingresos muy necesarios para las personas desatendidas, estas cocinas caseras brindan oportunidades.
Okay, more than giving, income to these people that need it, these type of kitchens are very needed.
Para la educación intercultural, un sentido de orgullo comunitario y esperanza para el futuro.
And this is for education, the community, integral, and also for the future.
El costo de inspección y otros permisos deben de ser de bajos recursos, ya que es un permiso entre múltiples que pueden endeudar al vendedor antes de poder usar sus permisos.
As far as the cost for the permits, they need to be low income. And this is because for these street vendors, if they cannot afford it, that can be very dangerous for them.
Yo como vendedora y líder de mi área me doy cuenta que la mayoría de vendedoras somos mujeres, que hemos salido de violencia.
As a street vendor, I can see that the majority of us are women that have escaped, violence.
Personas mayores de edad.
Elderly, the elderly persons.
Que lo único que necesitan es llevar el sustento diario a su familia.
And the only thing that they need to do is they just need to take food to the table for their homes.
Y no queremos ser una carga pública, queremos contribuir con la economía de California.
Okay? We don't want to be a public nuisance. We would like to go ahead and contribute to the economy of California.
Algunos de mis compañeros inclusive dan trabajo a otras personas.
As a matter of fact, some of my coworkers also give work to others.
Y nos gustaría que los costos de los permisos, no solo de este, sino de otros más necesarios para poder ser vendedores ambulantes, sean de bajo costo.
And we would like for the permits, the cost of the permits, not only for us, but for other street vendors, I believe that they need to be low, low cost.
Necesitamos el apoyo de todos ustedes, inclusive siendo ustedes un ejemplo para las demás ciudades en Estados Unidos. Es un paso muy importante para nosotros como vendedores saber que contamos con el apoyo de ustedes.
We need all your support. As a matter of fact, you are something that is an example for other places in the United States, so we really need to count on your support.
Como les dije antes, la mayoría en mi área son personas mayores de bajos recursos. Y la verdad es que estamos cansados de que la policía nos persiga, nos tire las cosas, no tengamos un lugar seguro para vender.
Okay, like I told you before, most of us are elderly people, low, income, and we are really sick of the police following us all over the place, throwing our things.
Queremos pagar todos los permisos correctamente, que nos den los permisos.
Your time's
And
up.
we would like to pay for all the, necessary permits. Thank you.
Yo tengo una pregunta. ¿En dónde los corre la policía?
Llegan a nuestras áreas de venta, depende en la ciudad de Hollywood.
Okay, they come over,
en Los Ángeles.
They come over in Los Angeles, places in Hollywood.
Pero aquí en San Diego no le ha pasado eso.
No, yo vengo de Los Ángeles porque estoy apoyando a todos los vendedores ambulantes.
I'm trying to support all the street vendors.
Okay, I just want to clarify that has not occurred here. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, thank you for having us. My name is Michelle Asensio, Economic Development Program Manager at City Heights CDC. In my experience working with mobile food vendors, the cost of commissaries consistently create a barrier to entry for starting their business, which allows them, some economic sustainability. We work with vendor support groups to issue a survey to vendors about their typical sales. Based on their responses and input, we support raising the limits for vendors using amigos as a commissary. We'd like to emphasize that we would like to see those sales amounts raised to 80 meals a day, 200 meals per week, and $150,000 in gross annual sales to accommodate events and the higher sale days on the weekends. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller.
David Sims, Warang Riri.
You can begin your comments.
Good morning, everybody. This is David Sims with Warang Riri, also on behalf of my wonderful wife, Chef Ree Sims. We wanted to say thank you so much for approving this program as a start. We've had nothing but success over the last year. We're currently booked a full year in advance with a quite large waiting list to even get in to dine with us. And because of this program, it has afforded our family to actually start to live and thrive in San Diego, which, as we all know, is currently America's most expensive city to live in. And because of this great program, we can do things with our kids that we couldn't do before. So we want to just call in because we're actually in the middle of meal prep, so we couldn't make it in today to see you all in person. Sorry about that, but hopefully you'll come dine with us one day if you can get in. Anyway, thank you very much, and we also support agenda, or 5, 6, and 7. So we have other business ideas we'd like to explore as well. So thank you guys again, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Malcolm J. Suggs.
You can begin your comments.
Good morning. I'm Malcolm J. Suggs, and I'm the owner-operator of the Miko Smoke and Peppers Barbecue in Chula Vista. First off, I want to say thank you to you all for unanimously voting for the initial opportunity to participate in this program. It's been life-changing for myself and dozens of other business owners, as well as a beloved place of fellowship in our local community. I operate Smoke and Peppers Barbecue on the weekends, as my day job is serving as a cybersecurity engineer with the United States Navy. This program has given me the chance to fulfill a lifelong dream of owning a restaurant and being a chef, which is why I initially joined the service over 16 years ago without having to have large amounts of capital. It's also been vital in keeping my family afloat, as months ago, my wife lost her job during the economic downturn and to date has still been unable to find a replacement. This program has allowed us to continue to provide for our family, while also giving back and helping others in similar situations in the community around us. We all recognize military power as a critical tool to maintaining our way of life as Americans, but our economy is just as vital. Programs like this give hardworking Americans the opportunity to start their businesses, circulate dollars in their community, and through tax revenue, pay into improving those communities. Being originally from North Carolina, California boasts the largest economy, not only because of size, but for a willingness to lead the way in progressive programs like Miko. Creative programs like this are what allow America to continue to boast the largest economy in the world. It's for all of these reasons mentioned that I strongly urge you to vote yes on continuing this program and all expansion items proposed for the Miko program in San Diego County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Armando Gallegos. Buenos días. Good morning. My name is Dr. Armando Gallegos Jr. I am a physician and a proud San Diegan. And I want to start by saying thank you to the Board of Supervisors for providing this space. I do just want to voice my support in support of Measure Option A. I would ask for a further clarification for Option 4 in terms of what is deemed capable of supporting preparation and storage of food. And I am in support of Option 5 and Option 6. In fact, I believe Option 6 should mirror that of the cottage food operation by the state for up to $150,000 in gross revenue. And yeah, I just wanted to voice my support and to thank you for your service.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Excuse me. Oh, come on. That's Consuelo. Oh, come on, Nora. You're not paying attention. You asked that lady, where is this happening? As if you know that as if you don't know that that's happening here too. Harassment from the police is the usual. Anyways, I need a translator for what I'm about to say, to have it translated in Spanish. Can I get that? Can I?
Hi, Consuelo. This is the interpreter.
Okay. So I would like to have this translated. Best of luck to you all.
La mejor de la buena suerte para todos ustedes.
But the government will pass this. Don't worry.
Pero el gobierno va a pasar esto, así que no se preocupen.
Please imagine not having to be able.
Por favor, imagínese no poder.
To come in and beg.
Venir acá y tener que rogar.
The government for help.
Al gobierno por la salud.
Remember.
Recuerden.
What you ask for and from who.
Recuerde de lo que ustedes piden y a quién se lo piden.
Although it is our money, the government gives.
Aunque es nuestro dinero, el gobierno
da.
El gobierno
da.
Your time is up. We'll go to the next speaker.
Okay.
Truth, that was epic. For over $1,000 a year, people can open a micro-enterprise home kitchen operation in their homes as long as they pay to play. Before, people sold food out of their homes and elsewhere without government inspections, permission, and its money demands. I bought tamales out of a person's car in Escondido, fruit and honey on the side of middle-of-nowhere roads, and even recently, pupusas at a park in City Heights. I seriously doubt any of those entrepreneurs signed up to any government program, and I don't care. As long as food safety basics are followed, there's no problem. So even though just as a matter of principle, I don't support a program at permission and fees, I'm glad that AB 1325 increased profit limitations from 60 to 90 meals per week that could be sold, and the annual sales from $50,000 to $100,000. And I also like option 3, allowing 2 carts with sales not counting towards sales limitations. More carts and more sales means a better chance people can pay off the government fees and actually rake in profits and survive. What's interesting is that options 5 and 6 say that the county can set higher limitations than allowed in state law. See, like I mentioned yesterday, state law doesn't really apply except when chosen to by the county. And the business impact statement is a fun one with its food justice. Somebody order me up some food justice. Too bad I'm not in person because I'd show you all my jacket pin that says, Pizza Police, justice any way you slice it. That's how much I support food justice. But the statement also mentions the high startup cost for restaurants, and that's exactly why all fees everywhere need to be eliminated or lowered so people don't have to resort to food trucks, pop-up stalls, home kitchens, carts, or online orders. And I say that with all due respect to those delicious hustles. And I urge similar Option 8 financial waivers for restaurants. But once again, my overall principle is against any government limiting anyone's business, number of meals that can be prepared and sold, the type of food allowed, the number of employees or profits. No to that, but yes to food. Thank you, all the people that cook delicious food.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
That translating was not equitable. Kind of you're discriminating against English or something. I don't know. It's weird. Anywho, you know, it's really sad because anything you guys put your hands on, it makes it more difficult for people to do anything. And then you have people coming in and talking, and this is no offense to them, but it's just really sad that they talk about being a public nuisance and being allowed to do kind of things like this for you guys providing
Can you please
these
stay on
opportunities.
topic? We're talking about Mikos.
I am. I know. That's what I'm talking about, Nora. The people were saying that. Don't interrupt me. This has to do with these kitchens and what you guys do, and you're like dictating how many meals they can make. I mean, and talking about non-hazardous foods, yet we'll sit and give people genocide shots that are killing them. We'll give people sewer water. You'll put poison in the water and act like it's good. You know, at some point, you're going to force them to give Soylent Green, bugs, or sewage, who knows, because you guys want to control everything. And that's the problem, is that people act like they have to come and ask for permission just to make money. And you'll dictate how much money they can make and how many people they can serve food. It's ridiculous because you guys limit people and our ability to succeed. And people act like we need to come to you and ask for permission for any and everything we do. Just like to talk. Can I talk? Can I please talk? Or, I mean, at some point we're gonna have to ask to breathe because we're gonna be, you know, causing too many GHGs, and you know our carbon credits aren't going to be enough. So you want to sit here and interrupt, Nora, like I'm not talking about what's on the item, when for 2 items before I didn't speak on the topic, but because you don't like what's being said, all of a sudden you want to butt in. It's ridiculous. And these people should look at that and say, why am I asking for permission to do things? The government isn't here to help anybody.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. I'm reading the wrong one. My apologies. That concludes public comment on this item. Sorry.
But this is a wonderful item, and I'm so happy that all of you are here today because there's nothing more than we appreciate than folks participating in this process. And for the folks that are at home, you don't get to see that today we have a lot of wonderful constituents that are here, and they have cards with them saying yes on Mikos. And so that makes me super, super happy because that's what this is all about. And I think this is why we all ran for office, because we want to make sure we're doing good things for our communities. And so I want to first and foremost say thank you to our county team for all the great work that you've done on this particular item. I have to give really credit to Supervisor Anderson, who came to me and said, Supervisor Vargas, when I first started, he said, what do you think about us introducing this board initiative so that our communities, particularly when COVID was taking place, they can actually, have these home kitchen operations from their home. And I said, it doesn't exist already? And then he's like, no, we have an opportunity to do this. And so together, I thought it was really cool that we could do that. And we come up with this pilot program, and I thought it was something that was really exciting. And so many of you were thrilled about us being able to do this. And we started the operation, and the team went out there, did so much work, to kick off the process, right? And we started it off with 2022, right, when we started the program. And you went and you talked to all of the different city councils, city managers. Some people were hesitant. They were like, what about this and what about that? And we're like, we just want people to be able to do what they already are doing, but actually given an opportunity so that they could be safe and healthy and they have the tools that they need. and so that people are not treated badly, right? So that they're not, in situations where they are, treated where in a place where they're actually going to get fined or anything like that. And so in the end, I really just want to say thank you to county staff, because you all have gone above and beyond, and you really are a small and mighty team while you're doing a whole bunch of other different things that we're asking you to do. So I wanted to say thank you to that. I also want to say thank you to the community organizations like the Cook Alliance, San Diego Mico Coalition, San Diego Food System Alliance, Logan Heights CDC, City Heights CDC, and everyone else that's helping this opportunity for the communities to really be aware of this. I know that we only have 61 Mico home-based businesses across the county to date. I think it's good. I think we can have more. We're going to continue to build those coalitions. I hear you loud and clear about the cost of the funding and how much it is. I know that the initial Mico permit is about $656. The renewal is about $322, I understand. The carts are $356 to $555. I'm going to ask the team to think about, as we're coming back in the spring, to think about what would it look like for, waivers, if that was something that we could do or not. I can't promise anything because, we have some budget constraints, but I'm going to ask that we look at that, number one. And then also, I'm going to try to figure out if there's partnerships that we can have with maybe foundations or other folks that are really interested in doing micro enterprise initiatives. I have an office of community of, I have a team member that is working specifically on community development and economic development. So I'm going to work with them to try to see if we can find some additional dollars on that and make it a larger enterprise initiative. But anyway, I'm excited about this, and I think this is really great. I think we have a huge opportunity to do this and really think about bending in micro businesses and how we increase our sales and do more work. So I want to make some recommendations based on everybody has a cheat sheet in front of them, right? And this is one of my favorite tools that we have in the county of San Diego. So my hope is that obviously we have the CEQA, right? Number one, we cross that one. And then on number 2, we go with option 2A, to recommend option 2A. And then we recommend option 3, right? 3, option 4, option 5, to increase to 80 meals per day or 200 meals per week. And then option 6, to increase the amount to 150,000. And then on the cottage food program option 7. And then on option 8, waive the board policy B29 for fees. Those would be my recommendations. And that would be my motion for us to support as a board. Do you need anything else? No? Okay. That's my motion. If anybody wants to second it, that would be.
Oh, well, I was waiting for you to call on me.
Sorry,
I was
go ahead,
politely
sir.
waiting.
All right.
I'd be glad to second that. And Madam Chair, I think that was the first ordinance that we worked on together.
Yes.
And I was familiar with it because I worked on it when it was a bill in the state legislature, and I co-authored it. And I understood the importance that it would mean to our communities, because there wasn't a community in my district that we didn't know somebody who made a casserole, a tamale, or something that was truly delicious, and they were selling them out of their homes illegally. And I thought, why is that? Why can't we help people who are struggling start a business? And even if they don't want to be a restaurateur, and I'm so glad so many of you spoke today about starting a restaurant, starting a cart, starting a truck. Those are all great things. But even if you just want to augment your family income and make ends meet, and especially, it struck my heart that so many single parents didn't have the ability to work a full-time job, but another $50,000 a year. If done correctly, they would net most of it, and they'd be providing quality food for their neighbors at the very same time for their own families. And so that's why I thought this program, on so many levels, was just a smart program. And Chairwoman, you were so kind. People beat the snot out of me. I had mayors, I had all these people calling me, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, the sky's falling. They don't have professional grease catches, they don't have this, they don't have that. There's gonna be so much new traffic. And when they said, well, it'll create all sorts of traffic, I'd say, well, do you allow pizza delivery? How about Uber Eats? Do you allow that in your city? Well, absolutely we do. So what's the difference? Why are we punishing these people who want to get out of the gray and have a business in the light? And then they'd say, well, you know, all this extra grease, they don't have professional kitchens. And I'd say, well, I'm the youngest of 8. The equivalent is 3 new family members. Do you have a limit on the number of family members that you're allowed to have in your home? Of course not. So why are you trying? So all these things were false arguments based on fear. And here we are, after the pilot program, not a complaint ever. Best food, best cooks, merging careers, and whole families. I wish that everything that we attempted to in government had such great success. So with that, of course, I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you, Supervisor. And you know, I did want something that I want to make sure it's on the record because I think this is really important to clarify. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I heard a couple of folks today speak up, and you've mentioned, the speakers mentioned how well, because you know, county government gets a lot of a bad rep all the time, especially our county staff about, you know, all sorts of folks. And I want to emphasize how people have said how this program has worked so well, right? There's the funding part about how it's expensive for some folks, and we're going to try to figure out if there's a way for us to work around this. But I think it's really important to acknowledge that the process has been one where people are actually, they like how this process works and it's really smooth. But if Heather, you can share a little bit about how you are actually working with the local cities around the county of San Diego to ensure the safety and security of folks, especially street vendors and stuff, because, you know, one of the things that all of you should know is that I keep monitoring how many street vendors who are being abusive, right? I know exactly what's going out there, and I'm keeping track about the fact that there are some folks who are taking advantage of street vendors and what they're doing, and so I've been very much aware, and it's something that I'm very concerned about. And I don't want to over-regulate because I want to make sure that the people who are out there trying to make sure that they're providing for their families get to continue to do that, because you know, what ends up happening is government ends up over-regulating people, and then you can't provide your service. So can you talk a little bit about what the great work that you're doing? Because I was so excited when I asked her. I thought she was going to be like, well, let me look into it. And she had like a great answer, and I was so proud of her. So go ahead, Heather.
I hope I have the same great answer. Similar to the work that we did with Micos, who have been highly engaged and really motivated to be permitted, our teams have been out working with cities, working with code enforcement, but then also just going out onto the streets and doing outreach with sidewalk vendors to really engage them and ensure they know the paths for permitting and make sure that they're engaged in the process as well and know how to reach us. And yeah, so that's some of the work that we've been doing ongoing for the past several years.
There you go. See, the County of San Diego doing its best work. So with that, we have a motion and a second, and I don't have any other discussion. So can we call the vote?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson.
Gladly, aye.
Supervisor Desmond. Yes. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
Yay. All right. Well, I'm supposed to tell you you're not supposed to clap. So anyway, but I'm excited. All right, thank you very much for that. Thank you, team, for all the great work, and thank you for everybody who joined us today. With that, our next item on the agenda is non-agenda public comments. So can you go ahead and call the remainder of the public speakers?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We do have 9 requests to speak matters listed on the, we have 9 requests still to speak to non-agenda matters. all coming via phone. For those that have requested to speak via phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you, and we'll give you a moment to do so. We will now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, when it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle here. I called in to share some good news for those of us who work in behalf of young people. The county has provided for us as a group of parents as well as public health educators the opportunity to learn about providing vaping and smoking cessation programs. And we had our first meeting yesterday. And they have put together a series of workshops for us because, as they stated in their flyer, tobacco use is a major public health concern that poses significant risk to individuals' health. They go on to say that they consider marijuana use in the same way they consider tobacco use a public health concern. And then it says, for those with coexisting conditions such as diabetes, asthma, and cardiovascular disease, tobacco and marijuana use can make their health problems and increase their mortality rate. They particularly express their concern regarding the need to provide good tobacco and marijuana cessation information for those who are pregnant because of the unique challenges there. I called in because I wanted to applaud the county's Tobacco-Free Coalition for putting these webinars, presentations, trainings on for us. This is a significant contribution to all of us who work with young people. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Paul Bold. I hope that the quorum necessary to conduct business includes people who are listening. And please give all callers who need translation their 4 minutes. If you're so happy to see people supporting one item, why not do stuff for the entire county? Unhealthy water is being advertised mostly as a cross-border problem. A large part of this is the unwillingness of local officials to shoulder the blame for unhealthy water caused by this county. A major problem is that the U.S. water treatment plant on the Tijuana River is broken. Many people have pointed out that this will impact the tourism business. However, it is also a quality of life issue, impacting school kids, surfers, dads, moms, and all ages in between. You have a government seemingly focused on placing blame and kicking the can down the road, which is the title of the grand jury report presented at the San Diego City Council. This may be the final straw getting people to flee the region. Not only super high utility, rent, and food prices, but now government which doesn't care about your health as an individual. Tourism may be the least of our worries. This would affect businesses and the entire economy, which needs people behind it. Now, recent water closures and advisories include Silver Strand, Imperial Beach, Tijuana Slough, and Coronado Beach's shoreline. Although Bayside Park and Chula Vista, Highlands Park, San Diego Rivermouth, Mission Bay, North.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
It's truth. I have to call out that during yesterday's non-agenda, the professional Andrew finally slipped. I did not say my name for the record, but it's okay. I'll confirm that iTruth did indeed deliver that non-agenda speech. And also for the record, since yesterday's item 28 was indeed deception, I revoke my approval of it. Next topic. From my own life experience, politics is exactly like the music business, and that's why nothing that goes on has been shocking to me. I've seen some of the worst of humanity in a business where people lie to each other's faces, use each other to get ahead, fight behind closed doors 5 minutes before they put on happy smiles for an audience that have no clue that everything's falling apart, something they didn't even write, which shows that they had to pay to play. Politics is the exact same business, and they are indeed both businesses, and that's why there are people that buy in and people that sell out every day. But I don't want anyone to feel that things are hopeless. Here are examples of positive change I've made at various city councils. A city now uploads their council meetings on YouTube. A mayor directly answered my hard questions. A council member not in political agreement still decided to look into missing records I pointed out. And a council member even stopped using stakeholder language, no longer calling residents customers, which is a real highlight. I've also made just about everyone laugh at some point, and even though that's not the intention, usually it's always a good memory because it's nice when business can be fun. Now, these may seem like small victories, but when no one challenges anyone who's in a position to make decisions, then you've given up your voice and you won't have any victory. And anyone who's scared, I've only been speaking in person for less than 9 months now, which I thought it was less than that. I started calling in comments when I hated talking on the phone and had no public speaking skills. I was just determined to stand against wrong, so anyone can do it. Go to a city council. It's different than BOS. A lot less scripts and cheat sheets, and no limited county $8.1 billion budget.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Of course, you're going to let some people clap, Nora, because then it's like, oh, it makes me look good. I love that. It's so awesome. You need to quit trespassing against me. We're in a contract that you're violating, so that needs to be cured and corrected. But it was interesting yesterday as you kicked us out of the meeting for, not even disrupting it, even though you just constantly disrupt it. But it was interesting, the item that was just spoken about was the abortion, the murder clinics that you guys need everybody to, engage in. And, Mike came and did a wonderful presentation to visually show people what happens when they're ripping babies apart limb by limb and crushing their skull. And then to see you guys all in the looks in your eyes, not Nora, because she's used to it, she probably eats babies, we're not sure. But, the rest of you felt what was going on, and you actually, I could see it in your faces. And you guys were so compelled after you stopped the meeting to come down and clean off the altar from the blood sacrifice of the baby. Like 5 of you guys. It was very interesting to watch that compelling nature of people feel so guilty that they have to go clean up lemon because it's basically a reference to blood and a baby's brains being splattered all over that altar or podium, as you want to call it. So you sit here and it's like you can abort babies at 28 days. It's interesting. So it's like life doesn't start until then. And what do? Take them to the abortion clinic because they, sell their organs and their blood. And so they'll crush just enough above or below whatever it is that they need to keep intact so that they can go sell it. So is that what they would do with a 28-day-old baby? You just take it to the abortion clinic, or, what can you just throw it off your, balcony? Because it's not life, right? It's not murder. We care about life, and you say you want free choice, but that baby has no choice, and you're negating the fact that it's a life. Because if the person decides to choose.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning. This is Peggy Walker. I'm a public health educator and youth mentor. Substance abuse and addiction related to homelessness, mental health, and the fentanyl and marijuana overdose crises have been the center of much discussion here lately. Addiction often starts at a young age. In line with this, I want to share that a national organization titled One Chance to Grow Up, whose mission is to keep kids safe from the dangers of marijuana commercialization, has issued alerts regarding two powerful strategies of the marijuana industry, which one spends millions of dollars to normalize and glamorize marijuana in marketing, branding, and social media directed to kids, and second, spends around $6 million lobbying for policies to benefit its products each year. One Chance to Grow Up suggests that while those of us working to protect kids don't have huge marijuana profits to finance needed prevention work, we can educate on baseline protective policies, child-resistant packaging, restrictions on kid-friendly shapes, flavorings, and branding, a universal THC warning symbol, potency caps, standardized serving size, and limits on total amount of THC per package, and health and safety disclosures. You've heard stories like the unfortunate little third grader, a victim of marijuana candy. To stop this and to protect children, I urge you to honor Prop 64's intent and implement these protective policies for children. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
All right, with that, we have closed session, and we need to do public comment for closed session.
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We do have 6 total requests to speak, 1 individual in person and 5 requesting to speak by phone. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and I'd like to call forward Mark. Not seeing any movement in the chamber. We'll go to the public callers. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd like to remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll begin with our first caller. You may begin your comments. Anne, you may begin your comments. We'll come back to you.
Truth, I have determined that the reason that the county does not provide a short summary of each case is because the county has a pattern of racking up the worst cases of any other local government entity. I think some here don't want people knowing what's going on, especially when it comes to the jail inmate deaths or the various sheriff's department's wrongdoing. Case A is CT versus the County of San Diego. Fred Byerly, Elisa Calzada, Mary Dean Cooper, John G. Edward Simmons, Lisa Kendall, Nina Marco, Betty Siegel, and Nina Urabe. CT alleges that in the 1990s as a child, sexual molestation and sexual abuse occurred while under the custody of the county and its social workers, and in Mary Spurlock's foster home by Mary's niece and an adult male. CT was removed from Mary's home and placed at the Polinsky Center, where she exhibited signs of sexualization and sexual abuse. She alleges that all failed to protect her well-being or provide proper care and suppressed relevant information from her. Fortunately, this case may succumb to a statute of limitations. Case B is Delane Hurley versus the city of La Mesa and the county of San Diego. Delane alleges she was shot in the face by a beanbag gun while watching the Summer of Love riots in La Mesa. Why anyone would go watch senseless rioting and the resulting burning of a city, I do not know. But Delane had to get stitches. Another woman, Leslie Furcon, was allegedly shot by a beanbag to the head. The Summers office said that was because Leslie threw an object. There was also a teenager, Tyler Astorga, who was shot with a beanbag while driving during those riots. He ended up getting 5 staples in his head. But what remains unanswered is why those who incited those riots were never charged. Some people even received proclamations here. The May 2nd meeting where Joel gave Not Me SC and Tasha Williamson a proclamation comes to mind. Tasha having spoken about, quote, revolution. Violence was what it took to get here, and you will look like Ferguson when we are done, end quote. Very questionable, those types of behaviors. And that's why we have laws after laws.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Consuelo, I just wanted to congratulate Nora. That was a great performance you put on for the people who don't know who you are, and to the callers who called scripted speeches. Excellent job. Let's see, but really I wanted to, and I also am upset that I didn't get my 4 minutes of translation. What's up with that? And then you're so excited. Hello, clapping. Whatever, Natica. Let's see, imagine not having, this is what I was going to say, and I'm going to say it now. Imagine not having to be able to come in and beg government for help. Remember what you ask for and from who. Although it is our money, government never gives unconditionally. There's always strings attached. Plus, be mindful that you all not become too successful, because government will come back and wreck what you've worked so hard to build. Look at what they did to the small business owners during the scamdemic. Bottom line, they don't want you successful. They want you dependent tax slaves. Wake up. Levántate. Or despiértate, or however the hell it's said. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. Great performance, Vargas. Great performance. And yeah, I can't wait for the next land use meeting, because I have some footage of people who don't know you, but yet they work under you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Interesting. Almost wasn't allowed because I, for some reason, didn't fill out a slip, even though I do on every item. Yeah. So, you know, just the fact that you guys don't provide information on this is telling, because it's like, why not? You provide a bunch of other information on all your nonsense. But maybe you just don't really want people to know what kind of litigation is taking place, so they don't look, you know, deeper and know that there's a lot of corruption. But there seems to be a lot of sheriff deputies, you know, involved in, you know, injuring individuals by using excessive force when it doesn't necessarily need to be. Someone just being supposedly at a rally and was, you know, just watching it, and then when they deploy chemical agents, you know, she's near an elderly woman with a dog that she wanted to help, and, you know, was hit in the back. I mean, she turned back and was hit in the beanbag with a beanbag in her face with a beanbag shotgun. And it's like, Wayne, she wasn't even a part of that. So, I mean, whoever they're aiming at, obviously they see as a target. But there are people just being murdered by these officers as well, because they'll open fire and, you know, not be dealing with the situation in the right way by escalating it instead of de-escalating. And again, like with this black man targeted supposedly on his way home, and there was no crime committed, but he was beat over the head and cuffed, and, you know, they had a dog attack him. So, you know, it's like, I feel it's just really sad to see that this can happen. I mean, you guys even use the sheriff there to try and enforce all of your bullshit, like, shenanigans. And you have to use that because you know that without that sheriff there, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. And the sad thing is that the sheriff should be the one protecting the people, not being used to go against them. But that's what's happening on a continual basis, and it's escalating. But we have a sheriff who doesn't even want to check her own, you know, guards at the prison, because then it would be exposing that they are taking the drugs in. So, I mean, the amount of crowd.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
All right, with that, we're going to proceed to closed session.
The board will now recess into closed session to continue consideration of those matters listed under item 35 on yesterday's agenda. If there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out after the conclusion of closed session today.